In this video, we'll be dividing a binomial radical expression by a single radical of square root x. So in order to simplify this, I must first state my restrictions. So if I think about the properties of radicals, especially square roots, I know I can't take the square root of a negative number. So that means that x has to be positive. Also, if I look here at the denominator, I can see I'm dividing by x. And we can't divide by 0. So what this implies for a restriction is that x has to be greater than 0. X can't be negative and it can't be 0. So we have to say it's greater than 0. So that's where I would start with my restriction. The next part of this expression deals with how I would go about dividing. If I want to divide 4 plus 2 root x by root x, what I can do is either convert this to two separate division statements, or I can rationalize the denominator. So in this case, I'm going to rationalize my denominator so I don't have a radical anymore. So in order to do that, I need to multiply this expression on the top and the bottom by the square root of x. So to do that, I would need to distribute the square root of x with both terms on the top here. So I would say square root of x times 4, which is 4 root x. And I would say the square root of x times 2 root x. There's a 1 in front of here, so I say 2 times 1. And the square root of x times the square root of x, I could write as square root of x squared, which I will simplify later. On the bottom, I have the square root of x times the square root of x. Multiplying the x's together, I get the square root of x squared. And to further simplify this expression, I can't simplify 4 root x any further. There's nothing I can do with this with an x, and there's nothing I can simplify with the 4. However, for the second portion, I've got 2 times the square root of x squared. If I take the root of a squared number, then what I'm looking at is taking the base of the power here. So this would be 2 times x, because the square root of x squared is x. And I'm dividing by the square root of x squared, which is also x. Now if I look at this statement, I can't divide the square root of x by x, but I could divide x by x. But you need to be careful, because unless we can divide both terms in the numerator by the denominator, we don't perform any of the division, and we would leave the expression as we see it here. And we would need to also state my restriction that I started with here in the beginning, which is x greater than 0.